He follows his block. He's in. Touchdown, North Dakota. Touchdown, Kaminsky. His second today. Kaminsky rolling out, and he throws to the corner. He's got a man pulled in. Touchdown, Deng Deng. Yes, sir. Touchdown, North Dakota. How about that?
UND Football 360.
Going deep. They've got something they like. It is caught deep downfield. Touchdown, North Dakota. Touchdown, North Dakota. 82-yard catch and run, and UND strikes first.
Analysis, commentary, news, and a look ahead. It's all things UND football. This is the UND Football 360 podcast.
Touchdown, North Dakota!
With your hosts, Kelly Howe and Tank McNamara.
It is your spring football edition of UND Football 360. It's the podcast. Tank McNamara, Kelly Howe with you as we dive into some off-season news. But it seems like now in college sports, it's all year round, isn't it?
Things are going on at all times. Teams still moving conferences, still, it's odd. It's just hard to, I kind of liked it before when we were in a rhythm. We knew what to expect with a conference, the teams in our conference, who was going to be on our schedule. Now it's like, holy crap. And as soon as I say that, I think of Coach Sather. He doesn't even know who's going to be on his roster next year, every year. And he knows. I mean, that's amazing. UND, for everyone who doesn't know, UND men's basketball lost, is going to lose another 7 or 8 guys this year. It's still coming. And, I mean, those guys are so conditioned that they're just rolling with it now. They know they need 8 new guys every year, and they're all going to have to play.
And do you remember talking to Coach last year at Sweet Shots in Fargo? We were like, we feel bad for you. He's like, it's just the way it is now. I can sit here and complain or just deal with it and
football's
and move
actually
about
consistent,
it.
Tank.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at our roster. We didn't lose a whole lot. I mean,
No.
Sawyer Seidel, transferred out, things like that. But they got the majority of the roster back. Football's probably the most consistent at the FCS level. FBS, mid-level FBS teams, they lose quite a bit again.
Probably the best picture we've seen this offseason is when the offensive line took a group picture, said, we're all in for next year. And it's like, and they were like the first ones.
Right. Yeah, that was a good sign because I think that brings continuity to the rest of the team. If the secondary says they're all coming back, all right, cool, great. If the wide receivers say they're coming back, all right, that's exciting. But when the O-line in this day and age, with what they cost in the portal, says they're all coming back, now it sends a message to every other position group, all the other teammates. Hey, this thing, we got something going here. They believe in it. We can be all right. And it's new offensive coordinator, Danny Freund, who, obviously knows how to call plays, and he'll know how to use the offensive linemen, this next year and use their strengths, position them. We got 4 starters back. So, yeah, that was big. I mean, But I just wanted to talk about the basketball because I feel bad for those guys. I mean, NDSU loses their top 7.
We're
guys,
okay with that.
Or 7 of the top 8.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not losing sleep over it or anything, but it's like I feel bad for him because it's like he had a great year at Richmond. And, geez, all those guys, I mean, they can't keep him down here either. I mean, everyone knows on campus, UND basketball is a third, a distant third on rankings on campus, let's say, for resources. And they just somehow, Coach Sather took them to the Summit League championship team. That's not a championship team. Okay, I'm sorry. They just weren't. But they played like it somehow. So you got to give credit to that staff because they were playing well at the right time. They had a little lull in February there and then all of a sudden turned it on at the conference tournament again down in Sioux Falls. But, yeah, it's different. We're getting used to it, and I think some changes are going to come around. You can see Tommy Tuberville has been putting a few things in motion at the congressional level. So that's to try to get this thing under control as far as transfers go.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
We're about halfway through spring football, and it's probably about a year ago at this time in this schedule of spring ball where we were up watching practice, Kelly, and we walked out of there. after seeing Coach Schmidt in charge for the first time. It wasn't his fault, but we walked out of there going, wow, we've got a lot of work to do before August, and it was new system, new routine for the guys. But what is your vibe this time of year about UND football right now? What's your vibe?
It seems confident up there. It really does. I mean, other years, you knew what the program was. You thought, okay, UND football, one of the strong program, tradition, everything. We'll see. We'll see how they are. We don't quite know. They seem confident. I don't know. They seem like they are ready. I think that, the win at Tennessee Tech helped, kind of get the monkey up the back. And then, Tarleton, they had a chance there for a while and just kind of got away from them.
We ran out of guys. Secondary.
Ran out of guys. Yeah, I was standing there like 4 feet off the sideline watching. I'm like, it's just didn't get. We're running out of guys here. But, they seem like a bunch that's ready to win the Missouri Valley and ready to make a run in the playoffs. I mean, they think the pieces are there. Obviously, in this day and age, you got to add pieces and hope they hit. But the vibe I'm getting up there is that, the pieces they added through the portal at Christmas, I would say, let's call it 80% are hitting. That they think, okay, yep, this guy can help us. This guy can help us. This guy looks better than we thought he was. There's only a couple where they still don't know what they got. So that's a very good sign. And the other thing is now the defense is in place. They got that, it's installed. They know it. There's no more, like you pointed to Tank. We were watching them. I don't think they knew what they were doing.
No.
We didn't know what they were doing. We're like, geez, there's a lot of holes out here, boy. And, well, they got it shored up. That's coaching and that's belief. The players working hard, sitting in meetings, learning, and so I think that's all installed now. There's no more of that. So I don't know. I got a famous last words, Tank, but I got a good feeling about this heading into the fall.
What's your biggest concern about the UND football program right now, Kelly?
Oh, concern. I'm not concerned about the offense at all. I think the pieces are in place there. You got your quarterback back and Jerry. You got 3 running backs you can play. You got multiple wide receivers that you can play. I mean, granted, I want to watch them a little bit more. You got, what do we have, 8 tight ends? I mean, my God, we got tight ends all over the place. You're adding Kallstrom in there, who is a genetic freak. He's a stud. Wait till see him. So he's going to be kind of your Swiss Army knife. He'll be your H-back, whatever you want to call that.
Good, we hit that out of the way. It seems like every time we put a Twitter question out there, someone wants to know tight ends about UND football.
We got a lot of them, and they're going to be playing a lot of them. You're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, maybe even 13 if Danny gets a little frisky out there. Let's just pound them, or max protect, go deep type of thing. You're going to see a lot of that. I would say inside linebacker, a lot of unknown. Malachi McNeil leaves a huge hole there. Michael Devereaux's back, which is good. He was on with us earlier this year. Great kid. But he's about the only returner they got coming back with some experience, who knows what's going on. Inside linebacker has me a little bit worried. I think secondary, we got the numbers. Maybe need another guy. You know what I mean? But we got numbers and we got length. I think they're going to be all right at secondary because there's 5 of them on the field at all times. We got to remember that. D-line. We hit on that with you talked to Coach Schmidt about that. He likes where they're at there. We're gonna find out. But I'm feeling good, Tank. Okay, I don't know. Don't hold me to this, folks. But I like the makeup of this team. I think there's just the edges. Vig and Rucker, they can make plays. It can't possibly bring back a couple guys better than those two. So we're good there.
I don't know. You think Rutgers play in the playoffs were worth anything until he got hurt? Jesus. I mean, he was putting a clinic on.
Oh, that first half against Tarleton.
Those 6 quarters he played in the playoffs.
Tennessee Tech didn't have a clue what was going on with him.
No, but he looked like he was doing it all.
Lawrence Taylor out there. I mean, he would. Yeah, they didn't have a clue. And then the first half, he was doing it to Tarleton too.
Yeah,
they
and then
didn't
the
have
game
a clue.
shifted once he was out.
God, we walked him and we kept looking over there. I mean, he's sitting down there on the bench next to us. And we're like, oh, this doesn't look good. And then I keep looking over, and then all of a sudden he walks back to the locker room. I'm like, no, no. So, but it changed. We couldn't get there. We couldn't. And then they started sensing we're short in the secondary, and it started going long because we couldn't get there. And their receivers are really good. So Tank, I think we got the pieces in place. we can win games next fall. And if they can get the inside linebacker, develop some depth with, Ethan Bull, Starcevic, all those guys, if they can get 4 guys that are ready to go and have them rolling, I don't know. I mean,
the only thing
chance
I can think about now, there's question marks in the secondary, but the kicking game, kind of got a little oof last year. But this kid from Brainerd that's coming in, can't think of, is it right? Riffle. Yeah. I've seen him on social media, and boy, this kid's got some distance.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he can hit the ball. So
they'll count on him, I think, to battle. They're counting on him to battle for it. Silvernail back to kick, our guy. God, he had a good year. I love punters. I've developed a love for punters over the years because when you see the good ones, it just changes things. It's like it flips the entire field. Now the other team has to go 80 yards, 85 yards on you instead of 65. There's a big difference there. They got to get another 2 first downs against you. More chances to screw up, more chances to stop them. And he did that last year, and he got really good. That one he hit at Tarleton, my God, it was like shot out of a cannon. He just drilled it. The returner just gave up. The returner looked at it and just kind of ran. The returner was running off the field while the ball was hitting and rolling around. He just gave up. I was laughing so hard. It was a hell of a punt. But, yeah, like you said, I'm glad you brought that up because, we talk offense, defense, but you got to have a kicker. We had kicking issues last year. Got to get those shored up. Hopefully the freshmen will be able to do it. We've started freshman kickers every 4 years now for, 3 or 4 cycles in a row. Where they kicked 4 years.
And it seemed like when you played, that was kind of, we'd get a guy for 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and they'd be solid and never had to worry.
Get better. Get better as they go. Same thing, long snapping, that type of thing. So it's exciting times for UND football. There's a lot to look forward to. The spring showcase will be coming up in April here. I would advise get out there. You can see these body types running around out there. It's always nice to get a little familiarity. So I do like that Danny came back. That I just wanted to hit on that. Obviously, he knows what he's doing, and he's a known entity. But the vibe he brings, did you see the Twitter post from UND Football?
Where he was mic'd up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy, isn't it?
Oh, it's energy, and it's infectious. It spreads to the receivers, it spreads over to the running backs, and it just kind of spreads throughout the indoor facility as you hear him yelling, and it can only be good. That's the nice thing.
As a player, spring football in college, even as you got older, did you just get jacked for that first practice? Like, are these guys, or as you get older, is
about
it like,
one?
I don't want to drag
one
through
practice.
Yeah. Or is it,
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome to be out there again.
Well, yeah, it's good to get back out there, and it's good to get winter workouts over with.
That's
what I liked. Oh, God,
that wasn't your strength, right? The weight room. Did you know where it was at UND?
Oh, that's what I told my kid. I was like, "Don't feel bad." I go, "You're built like me." I go, "I was the weakest guy on the team." It's on paper. I was the weakest guy on the team. I mean, it's just there's no arguing.
The bar weighs 45 on the bench, right? So
you were 45. I was adding something on the sides. I remember. I don't know if it was a plate, but yeah,
those plastic ones.
Yep. But I told I go, "You're never going to be the strongest kid on your team here at Shanley." I go, "Just get used to it. That's kind of how it works." I go, "Go out on the field, go out on the field and produce, and then just." They won't care about it as much, but yeah, it's once spring ball comes around, it's fun, a little energy. It's best for the young kids.
They got to go prove themselves. Right? It's their time to shine. Right?
The freshmen who redshirted, and then the second year guys, that it's huge for them. Yeah, I loved it then because the coaches are waiting to see what you can do. They don't know. Nobody knows what you can do, and that's your time to shine, not in the fall. Because that's the spring.
Your first or second spring is where you take the training wheels off, right? Let's see what we got here, right?
Yeah, you're thrown in there. Yep, and then the older guys sit out. They might be dressed, but they really don't do a whole lot. So they're telling you, hey, you need to produce. You need to run this practice. You need to get the checks or our whole practice, as a safety I'm talking. if you're in charge of the checks, you have to know what you're doing or this whole thing falls apart. We're wasting our time. We only got 15 practices. So there is a little pressure. You got to show the coaches, I learned over the winter, I learned over last fall, and now it's my turn to show that I can make the checks, maybe make a play here or there. That's what they're looking for.
How about, are the older guys a little worried about, okay, I know what this freshman can do, and I don't want him to show too much because Daddy still wants to play next fall, right? You know,
that's a good point. Yeah, yes,
there is some of that. Yeah,
6'4", 6'3", 6'2" kid comes out there on the field. You sensed it in the fall. You're like in meetings, you're like, this kid's gonna be pretty good. Oh yeah. You got to kind of watch him. Like, God dang, man, I'm gonna play still, but I think they're gonna probably get him in a little bit because it's only good for the program. And once you get older, I came out. I remember sometimes, not often, but I did. Came out, and then another guy came in, younger kid. Give him a series, a quick series or something like that. Yeah, I get it. I'm not going to sit and hold back the program for next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need to play 100% of snaps. I can play 90, 95 of them and, develop some depth. So, yeah, that's definitely a thing.
And I suppose those positions that aren't really set yet. Yeah, I mean, every position's up for grab. The coaches will tell you, right? But we know. So those guys, though, where it's not quite penciled in, like the quarterback position last year. Every snap probably is like you're locked in, right?
Pressure. Well, inside linebacker, like we just mentioned, that's one. Young kids all over the place. We don't know. Any of them could be starting next fall. Safety, that's another one. Young safeties, out there. Those guys, they got a shot. They all got a shot. Young corners, because nobody's really proven coming in. So, yeah, spring is an exciting time for the younger kids, older guys. It's not quite as exciting. If you're a veteran O-lineman, I don't think you're too juiced up. Maybe you are, but you're getting old. Like last spring, Seth Anderson is his 5th or 6th year, whatever it was. I'm sure last spring he's like, hey, I'm gonna probably take it easy. They
don't really have to worry too much.
Plus, you don't even want them out there because they're taking reps. You got to see what those 19, 20-year-olds can do for you. And so, yeah, it's fun. I think it's more fun for the coaches just to see what they got because now as they come out of spring ball and you head into the fall, you can recalibrate your brain about your depth chart in your head and know who, God, he really showed. He really showed a little twitch there. That was interesting. Maybe we can get him out there, that type of thing. So, hey, it's fun. It's always a great time. And, especially if the weather warms up like today, Tank, where we got 8 inches of snow on the ground. Hey, my God.
That's a different story when you played, though. That would have really thrown a wrench in. Now they don't even have to go outside. They just walk it through the
We'd have the shovels out.
Yeah.
Yep.
You mentioned Seth Anderson, probably the biggest pro on the radar for the pros right now. UND had their pro day. What are you hearing on some of the guys from last year going into this NFL offseason?
Well, interesting you bring up Seth. I think he decided to kind of move on. That's what I'm hearing. The scouts showed up a couple weeks ago, UND's pro day, and he decided right before it he's kind of going to move on in life, graduate. Do some hunting, fishing, whatever he does.
Probably heal up a little bit after the years he's taken a beating.
He's played a lot of reps, and he had a hell of a career. And I think he had a chance. They had a chance. They wanted to see him in person. Old linemen are like gold. They're a gold in the NFL, and they're gold in college. Everybody loves them. And, yeah, I think he's going to move on. So that was kind of an interesting one. And that happens, though. Some guys are like, I don't have what it takes. Remember Michael Coe a few years ago? At this point, that's probably 10 years ago at this point. But Cowboys signed him right afterwards, and I think he went down there, and maybe while he was down there, he hung it up. He decided, I'm done.
I see what it takes, and I don't, because
I got it in me.
Sometimes you don't have much left in the tank after college football, right?
Yeah, and that's understandable, totally. So, that DeMontenac, CFL for sure, he ran real well.
He's getting some good vibes up there right now, isn't he?
Oh, yeah,
from
big body.
Canada.
6'3", Canadian. He'll have a career up there, definitely. Malachi McNeil, we heard he ran real well. A sub 4.6 is what we're hearing, which that guy's amazing. He's aging backwards. because his senior year was by far his best year, which it should be, but the way his twitch out there, he was just alive all year. What they play, 14 games? He was 14th game. He looked as good as he did the first game. I mean, I don't know that the strength staff did wonders.
Yeah, and then just his high motor that he played with too.
Yep.
And
he got a chance, maybe even Canada for him. I don't know. You know, there can only take so many Americans, but I think they're changing that ever so slightly up there. But yeah, he's another one that kind of surprised a few people. I think they looked around like, oh, I didn't know he moved that well. So that's one to watch on for a undrafted free agent type of a look. But other than that, I don't know. But I did hear those things. So we wish Seth the best. I mean, when he transferred up, that was a big feather in UND's cap, and he started 3 years, I think, and he played very well.
I talked to him after a game in the locker room this year. I said, "We're glad to have you here. Took you a couple years to get here, but glad you're here now." And he's a very quiet guy. Yeah, seems like it. Yeah, we got a little chuckle out of him. We're going to talk with the head man, Eric Schmidt, here coming up in the podcast. Also, wide receiver Deng Deng, who are big things. I mean, we've heard about him since he came out of high school. The potential there. Well, now it sounds like this could really be the year where we see what Deng Deng is really made of on a college football field. So excited about that. But other news, we just want to let you behind the curtain a little bit. We were hoping things would be ready to go by now, but we've made some investment into the podcast and the website, Kelly.
We have, Tank. I'm glad you got us going. I'll put it that way, because if it was up to me, I'd just keep doing the same thing year after year. And Tank kind of pushed it a little bit. He's pushing the envelope for the entire UND Football 360 production. But we're bringing video. Number one, we're bringing video to the table. We always should have. I mean, it's not hard, but we wanted to do it right. So we're bringing it. We invested in the cameras. We invested in the stands. We invested in the microphones. We invested in the whatever that
board. New board they're called. Yeah,
board, Tank. I don't know. It's got a bunch of colors on it.
Yeah,
that's all I know. Tank told me what to buy. I said okay, and I hit buy, click on the thing, and sent it to him. I don't know how to run it. I don't know what it does, but Tank does.
Well, I know a good chunk of it now. We just got to get the video into it. But really, the podcasts are all going to that. You know, we want to thank the KFGO crew here, the staff here at Midwest Communications in Fargo for allowing us to use their radio studios to do this. But now we'll be able to set up right in the war room in the coach's office or right outside the coach's office, that nice little sitting area that we've done some stuff, but we'll have full video. Like most of our guests have been on video when they call in through the computer, but we don't have access to that in the facility we're in right now. But very excited. New website is coming.
Yep.
You know, that is the face of this outfit, and we know it needs some cosmetics, and it's going to be very user-friendly, and just excited about the future of not only UND football, but this outfit here that you've let me be a part of, Kelly.
Yeah, definitely exciting times. I mean, like I said, you pushed it, Tank, and you have ideas. You're an idea guy, and I'm not the best idea guy in the world, so it's kind of worked. I'm more of the minutia, the nuts and bolts of football
the
itself.
X's and O's. Yeah. I'll take care of the promotion.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. So tanklogo.com is where we got, a lot of our merchandise is through there. So, yeah, website's a big one. And we got the guy, our designer is working on it as we speak right now. A contract was just signed with him. So he'll be creating a new UNDFootball360.com site, and everything will be up there. We told him simple, in your face, easy, right there. People are coming. They know why they're coming to our site. They're coming to listen to a podcast. They're coming to read an article. They're coming to maybe buy some merchandise. And we want it all right there, nice and easy, color, the color schemes that we're used to with UND. And he got it. He understood what we wanted. And I think it's going to be, I think everyone's going to really enjoy the changes here. We're going to enjoy, the video, They might
regret asking to see our faces more because, you're going to need a lot of foundation for your head, dude. That's going to be a big
shine.
Maybe Schmitty could hook us up with some Adidas UND gear to wear on the podcast.
Yeah, something like that. We're gonna have to eliminate the shine. somehow Tank. I get it. But hat, we'll wear a hat or something. But it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. And I don't see, there's no downside. We've had people in DMs asking, hey, when are you going to step up, go to video? Everyone's gone to video. But we knew we could have done it through a quick Zoom link or something like that through our laptop. But we kind of wanted to take it to the next level. So, yeah, it was a big investment. A lot of dollars that anything we've got through sponsorships, things like that, we've put right back in. We're not keeping any of it. We put it all back in. So we got all that has arrived, and Tank is, like you mentioned, he's working on it. And I kind of told him, tell me when and where, Tank, because I don't know how to set anything up. So,
yeah. It's turned into a pretty expensive hobby this spring here. But we love doing it, and I told Coach Schmidt, some people look at us as this is a full-time job for us. And I said, people got to remember this is a hobby for us.
Right.
And kind of a fun one. I mean, we get to front row seat to a lot of things and get to bring you this info. So, thank you to all the previous sponsors that have helped us get to where we are. But we're also going to be looking for more sponsorships down the road. We'd like to maybe do some more road games. I know I've got everything set in stone to go to Nebraska with my family, so we're excited to make a family trip out of that. And you know what? I told Coach Schmidt that, and he said, we just need 40,000 more of you, and we'll be ready to rock and roll down there. So that should be a fun game. And it's easy to get to, and it's a great stadium. I've been to Lincoln for a game, and you won't regret it. Very fun time, and the fans there are unbelievable.
Right.
Great people.
You mentioned those sponsorship opportunities. I just wanted to touch on it again. We're going to be expanding it. We got our base. We got our main sponsors with Billy, Rumors, etc., those guys. But we are going to be expanding it because, there's going to be clips, we're talking because we're adding video now. So now there's video sponsors. There's a lot of more opportunities. We think there's a lot of businesses out there would like to partner with us. So we're going to be reaching out and trying to find those. If anyone knows offhand, we got a lot of exposure. We can, I think, our partnership in particular, I go back to Rumors all the time. The partnership we've had with them has been outstanding. And I think Billy has benefited from it. We've benefited from it. It's just been a great partnership over the years.
Just the lunches we have there, we benefit from it, right?
Yep. So I think there's, we're going to be trying to figure out ways to do that. And we think we can do good things for a lot of businesses.
The UND Football 360 pregame show is proudly presented by Rumors Sports Bar, Grand Forks' home for pregame hype, postgame breakdowns, and every big moment in between. Whether you're meeting up with the crew or catching the game on the big screen, Rumors is where UND fans rally. Cold drinks, good food, sharp takes, and the kind of UND energy you can't fake. Development Homes, Inc., gaming, simulcast horse racing, pull tabs, blackjack, and the pig wheel. Interstate Industrial, oilfield services. The 1883 Collective. Hey, we're still here. The 1883 Collective is a 100% volunteer organization. It exists to support student athletes at UND. Contributions to the collective help fund support for unique ways to get students involved in the community. Want to add some juice to the excitement of the football program right now? Dollars to the 1883 Collective, our fuel on the fire as we work to recruit and retain top talent in our football program. They work closely with partners in the athletic department and the Alumni Association to ensure they're providing second-to-none opportunities for student athletes that choose to come and stay at UND. Go to 1883collective.com, click on the Get Involved tab to make your contribution today. Well, Kelly, this is a guy that has had a lot of UND fans very excited since he put his name to paper a couple of years ago as a high school senior, signing that a letter of intent, and he's one of North Dakota's own. It's Deng Deng. Welcome to the podcast, Deng.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, is this year 3?
This is my second spring ball.
Second spring ball. How's it feel?
Yeah. It feels good. With the new coaching staff. I feel like everybody's buying into our new offense, and the offense been looking pretty good. I would say since spring ball started.
Does it have a different vibe with Coach Freund there instead of Coach Frichty? Is it a little different?
Yeah, I would say it is a little different. They're both great guys, but Freund just always is gonna have juice every day. He's gonna make sure everybody got a positive attitude, and at the end of the day, make sure everybody's having fun each and every practice. So it's been pretty fun.
How's the learning process come along? I mean, I know we've talked to some people up there, and we're going to talk to Coach Schmidt about that too. But
Yeah.
the adjustments, I guess, I was a defensive side of the guy, so I just didn't know the offense. Has there been a little bit of I think Danny, I heard did he adopt a little bit of what you did last year to keep the terminology easier for you, or how has that process gone over the winter?
Yeah, he did. He did make it a way more easier on us by we just communicate the QBs, wide receivers, and the coaches on like we did keep some stuff. So it's really just on what everybody thinks is easier for everyone to understand and go out there and execute. So he's done a good job communicating with us and getting feedback and applying that to our playbook.
Is there anything you can point to for your offense this year versus last year? Let's say we're doing more of this versus what we did last year. Or, I mean, is there anything that you're kind of surprised here 8 practices in where you're like, yeah, this is a little bit different in this way?
I would really just say on how everyone is like confident in each other. Like we take start spring ball, we've been taking a lot of shots and we've been completing them. So the receivers been feeling good, QB's been feeling good. The tight ends, they're always gonna do their thing. And the O line been looking nice. So overall I would just say like everyone's just like confident with each other and that just really brings positive energy for our whole offensive group.
Well, Dang, last year, inside 10 yards, you were our go-to if we needed a touchdown. What's been the biggest goal for you this offseason? Where did you want to improve the most in your game?
I would just say developing just well-rounded as a wide receiver so I could be on the field as much as I can and so that the coach can trust me in critical situations and become a full field type of guy.
Yeah, that's what we kind of said as soon as the game was over against Tarleton. We said, all right, we looked ahead to this spring and we're like, well, I think it's time for a guy like Deng Deng to just let loose. You know what I mean? I mean, does that make sense? Like, okay, because we've heard you came from 4 wins or whatever, and that's a big jump. Okay, any North Dakota high school to UND is a big jump. Okay, it just is, and and then now he needs to develop. He needs to practice. He needs to learn the how to get off the line. Get off press coverage, things like that. Do you feel now, okay, your third year coming up here? Do you feel now it's the time where, hey, yep, I can be a 50 play a game type of guy?
Yeah, I feel like I've done a good job developing over this past year. So my confidence is always going to be there, but I really feel like our coaches poured a lot into me, both of them, for me being able to just become well-rounded and learn the little technical parts of being a wide receiver.
Talk to us about Coach KJ Maye. What kind of coach is he compared to what you've had in the past here at UND?
He's a great coach because he has a lot of experience at the wide receiver, especially at the highest level there is. So he just really knows like what it feels like to be a wide receiver. So he knows how it feels to be in our shoes. So like technique wise and all that, he puts us on with just the little stuff that I would like it would probably never cross my mind. And I'm just like, wow, and I take it and apply it the next day in practice, and like it helps a lot. So it's just really the little things like that that just eventually add up. And he just knows like a lot of drills like they did at the NFL and stuff. So we would do it at practice, and I feel like everybody's doing a great job of getting better every day.
Is it kind of a situation where you're hearing him say it and you're like, well, you believe it immediately because he's been in the NFL, he played for the Gophers. If he says it, we should do it and we should believe it, and there's no doubt in your mind?
Yeah, of course. If he's gonna point out a note and say something he would do, then I'm pretty sure everyone's just like taking that in and they're gonna try their hardest to replicate it and add it to their just like their bag of moves because he, like I said, he just went to the highest level, so that really earned like everybody's trust.
you've had a few pieces, new pieces in the wide receiver room. Talk to us a little bit about what you got. Any guys that stick out, or any guys, who's emerging, I guess, in that room as far as younger guys and portal guys. I don't know if there's anybody you can point to for us.
Yeah, if I had to point someone, I'll probably point to Caleb Goodlow. He's a wide receiver transfer from Bowling Green. He's been looking really good at the start of spring. I always knew he was gonna be good whenever we first got on campus and started running routes. So seeing him to do that with our playbook and just like going out there and performing every day in practice really, really just like caught my eye.
How does that work as the receiver room? Because, there were new faces in there. Do you guys try and spend as much time together, or do you sit over the playbook with them and ask them for, can you help at all, or how does that all work when they come on campus?
Well, we know like we're all in this together, so like whether it may be like that we are competing for spots, like at the end of the day, we know we're one team, we're the same wide receiver group, so everyone wants to see, like at the end of the day, we all want to see this wide receiver group be successful no matter what. So we always do our best to hang out whenever we can, and whenever I feel like in this wide receiver room, like everyone's a coach. Like it don't matter if it's like a guy that just got out of high school, or early signee, coaching up a guy that's been here for 4 years. Like if he sees something that you could have done, he's going to tell you, and everybody does a great job at taking it in and helping each other.
Coach Schmidt has brought the mantra of JYD, junkyard dog, but you don't think of the wide receiver room as that junkyard dog a lot of times. So how do you guys bring that out to the field every day?
Like I said, we just do our best at just going out there, being explosive as we could be, and just staying physical. 'Cause at the end of the day, if you're very physical and very explosive, the other defense is not going to want to be on the field as much.
Yeah, you got to have that edge, right?
Yeah.
What before we let you go, Deng, what weight are you up to these days? We know we've heard they're pretty dialed in, it seems like, with nutrition and weight, and what was the plan for you heading into the spring?
Heading spring, I was pretty much just going to stay around the same, if not a little lighter. So I'm right now, I would weigh around like 218. Like most of the days I weigh around 218. So it's not a crazy difference, but it's probably like 2 pounds, couple pounds lighter. So
what did you weigh when you came to campus?
205, I think.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
13. Yeah, you suppose you don't want to get too big. The speed up to where you want it to be with the weight. Is that how they kind of try to factor in which one, how to do it with a player? Keep your speed up.
We're just just do a great job on like what at the end of the day what's going to help me perform the best out there. And I feel like winter workouts it was a great winter workout. It was probably the best winter session I had so far in my life. Really, like my body feels as best as it been.
Your brother is announced he's coming. He's going to graduate from high school here shortly. How cool is that? Where your little bro is going to join you on campus?
That's exciting because actually in high school I really didn't play with him since like my freshman sophomore year because he tore his ACL, so I wasn't able to play football with him for a while. So it's actually going to be pretty exciting being on the same field and competing again.
Is he a similar type player to you when it comes to the wide receiver position? Is he more of a jump ball guy? Is he a speed guy, or what? How would you describe him compared to, I guess, your play when you were coming in?
I would say, he definitely could be a jump guy. At the end of the day, he's like pretty similar in height. So, but I would say he's more of like I would say I was just like a little more physical than him. So he's gonna be more like elusive, and I feel like he's gonna be like better than when I came in as a freshman at like creating separation and the little details.
How does that work with the brother relationship? I'm sure you want to help him out as much as he can. Does he have to tell you to shut up sometimes? And I don't want to hear that from you right now, or is he pretty good about taking some of the knowledge you've picked up already?
Yeah, no, he's great. Actually, he's the one that be asking the questions really, and I'm always down to help him whenever he always FaceTiming me, and I always end up like showing him clips and stuff of practice. So he's pretty like eager to learn because he knows he's gonna be here soon, and I'm like just down with helping as much as I could, but I know that no matter what, he's gonna go out there and mess up. That's just how it is coming from a 9-man North Dakota school to a D1 school. So it's definitely gonna be a shock no matter how much preparing I give him.
In that fun brotherly scrap, can you still take him?
Yeah, I'll like to say I still could.
Yeah. You guys never have those, do you? You get along all the time, I bet, don't you?
Yeah, not really, but been pretty good past couple years.
Well, Deng, thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your spring.
Yeah, no, thank you.
UND Football 360 is brought to you by the Toasted Frog. Whether it's the night before kickoff, post-game celebration, or just a solid date night, the Toasted Frog in Grand Forks delivers. From legendary fried pickles to craft cocktails and cozy vibes, it is the go-to spot for Fighting Hawk fans who know how to eat well. TankLogo.com. Hey, it's your one-stop shop for promotional products, corporate apparel, signage, and print. Whether you're building a brand, outfitting a team, or making a statement, TankLogo.com takes care of you and your message from concept to delivery. Trusted by local teams, businesses, and anyone who wants to make their brand stand out. UND Football 360 is brought to you by Kelly Howe with Nodak Insurance. Trusted coverage from someone who knows North Dakota inside and out. Whether you're protecting your home, farm, or future, Kelly's got your back with personalized service and coverage you can count on when it matters most. We continue along here on our spring football podcast, UND Football 360. And hey, let's go to the boss man. Let's just go right to the source. We got Eric Schmidt on the computer here with us on the Zoom call. And Schmidt, I bet it's a little different vibe this time around in spring football than a year ago. Can you sense that with the boys?
Yeah, I think the guys, obviously less anxiety as far as what does a practice day look like, what the structure of practice is too as well. So I just think guys have a better feel for what the expectations are. And they just have done a better job of being able to, just kind of up their expectation of what it's going to take, what hard really means for them. And I feel like our guys are starting to, build some resistance to some of the stressors that we're putting on them. And that's how we're getting to be a better football team.
Offensively, we're going to dive into this a little bit, but we got a ton of questions from Twitter. So we're just going to start spitballing here with you and mix ours in with theirs, and hopefully we get it all covered. But offensively, everyone kind of wants to know, myself included. Danny Freund's back. He was gone for 2 years, got some good experience at South Dakota State and Washington State. Now he comes back. You worked with him for quite a long time. You saw his offenses, throughout the years at UND. Is there anything you can pinpoint for the fans you're seeing differently? Like Danny has kind of evolved his offense up front, or protections, or whatever. Is there anything you can lay out for us that you're seeing that maybe the fans can look forward to next fall?
Yeah, great question. I would say, the one thing that's always been a strength of Danny's is just the imagination, the creativity of being able to, manipulate defenses to get them into certain leverages and certain calls, that are advantageous to the offense. I think he's always been really good at that. I do think just the continuity overall of, making run plays, part of our package that ties in with the pass game too as well. I think the thing that, more than anything else that coordinators do a good job of is really simplifying for the players, and then being able to do a good job of, as you're getting suggestions and you're putting plays together, being able to pick those plays, at the right times. And I think that's something where, Danny's really grown, just situationally. Hey, these are the plays when we're backed up that I feel the most confident in. These are our third down plays, our money down plays that, hey, we're going to practice these all year long. Nobody's going to run these plays as well as we are. Guys are going to feel capable of being able to be successful because of, these plays and how we polish them, how we detail them throughout the year. So I just think like the organizational piece, the detail piece of, growing in the profession and having to install, an offense to people that, are not familiar with it, whether that's at South Dakota State, whether that's, obviously at Washington last year, I just think makes you a better coach. You have to teach all the finer details, whether that's protection, whether that's, aiming points and run game, whether that's route depth, like all those things, I think, have helped him to be able to evolve. So I do think like, it's a more well-run offensive philosophy of who we want to be, what our identity is. And then, he does a really good job of plays are expensive. Like it's hard to run, the history of college football in your offense. You got to be able to pick what you want to be good at, what you think are, the best 6 or 7 concepts on offense, what you want to, base your run scheme around. And then formations are not, and shifts and motions and trades, like those are not expensive. And I think just dressing up different things to make them harder on the defense, to make them look different, but to keep it simple with your own guys too, as well, is probably where I've seen the, the biggest evolution of maybe when I was with him, and that was a long time ago. I mean, that was 8 seasons ago now. Just watching him where he was at then to where he's at now.
Staying on the offensive side, the RPO game, the last few years, it seemed, Isaac Frichte had his version of RPO. It seemed a little simpler than what Danny had run prior years. Once again, you weren't here, but I'm sure you've seen all the concepts. There's a lot of tagging, bubble screens, optional bubble screens out in the flats, things like that were always tagged to plays. And it seemed like UND got away from that a little bit the last couple of years. But is that something, are we seeing that coming back again? Has it been part of the spring package again with more, I guess, just more simple RPOs that are there for the quarterback?
Yeah. There's been a number of, I want to say quick game things that I feel good about, easy buttons for the quarterback. Guys don't get lined up correctly. People want to play 2 over 2 and being able to take advantage of guys who are, not playing maybe, zone concepts and stuff like that. I do think that's something that, we were getting to as the season went along last year. I think some of the, the mesh concept stuff, the just simple, reads for the QB that I really think are important for us to be able to have. Like that position's hard enough to play already. And when you have to sit back there and drop back a ton, I don't feel like that's the way that you're going to be successful. So moving the quarterback, simple RPOs, and then, you still got to be able to at times run the football and then max protect and take shots. And I think, the thing that I've been, the most pleased with so far is how much better we've gotten here through, we'll be at 8 practices tomorrow, just throwing and catching the football, and just guys being able to have a better, just conceptually having a better feel for, where they are at in the progression, where they need to be there, when they need to be available, and then just the timing and just the understanding, I feel like has been something that we've been able to grow. Obviously having Jerry back now, Javance back, Sulik back, like all those guys, are guys who have taken a lot of reps now in college. They're not rookies. They're not guys who are green to concepts. And I think Danny did a good job with those guys just initially of, hey, what do you guys call this? What's the verbiage that you feel most, comfortable spitting out of your mouth? And then I'll adjust, maybe some of the languages that we've used in the past to make sure that I can help you as much as possible moving forward.
Offensively, let's talk about the wide receiver room. KJ Maye, your new wide receivers coach, last podcast we had, he was on, said Deng Deng, looking to have big things out of him this year. Give us an update on that room, as there's a lot of new faces in that room right now. Yeah,
that's one spot, I think, Tank, that we really felt like, coming out of last year that we needed to be able to improve. A lot of good, solid, players that we had in that room, but, just how many difference makers. I think probably the best analogy that I can say is like, hey, there were guys that could, they could get the yards that the offense was, designed to get, whether that was finding a hole in the zone, over the ball routes that they could catch and try to get upfield and that kind of stuff. But I just didn't feel like we had enough guys, in that room that could go get their own yards, that could go, beat a one-on-one, break a tackle, make some 10-yard play into a 20 or a 30-yard play. And I think that's something that, it's a work in progress, but I definitely feel like, it's definitely stressed our defense more. It's more noticeable just, how much better we're doing in the pass game, of being more efficient, of being able to throw and catch the football, being able to make people miss. I just think a lot of it too is just the timing and being able to be consistent that way, so that guys, when they do catch the ball, there is space for them, to be able to get up the field and do some things after the catch. And then I do think stretching the field is something that's still important for us. We were doing that at times a year ago. I think, just with, just the way the season went and maybe got a little bit harder as the year went along, we weren't able to do those things later on in the year. And part of that's the run game, like we weren't running the football as well later in the year too as well. So I just think, it's still going to start there. We still got to be, really successful and physical at the line of scrimmage. And that's going to obviously help our offense overall be able to perform better. But we've done a better job here, I feel like, of getting some bodies out there, some guys who, are sudden, some guys who have the ability to be able to get corners and DBs, to be able to get on their heels, to be able to open up, to be able to respect them, just as a group, that you're going to, they're at any time they could run by you. And I think when you have, those types of guys who have those types of abilities, it's harder to cover those guys when you have, you have the respect of the DBs, that at any point, like, these guys could run by me and it can be an explosive play.
Wide receiver wise, I've been hearing good things about Caleb Goodlow, the transfer from Bowling Green. Has he been a pleasant surprise for you guys?
Yeah, consistently good, not occasionally great, is something we say a lot around here, and that's, I think, describes Caleb, to a T. He's a bigger bodied kid, which was something that we felt like was important. We needed that kind of blend of size and speed, and he has that. He's over 6 feet tall. He's right around 200 pounds, and he can run. He's a guy who's really fluid. And then I just think he's a football player. Like, the stuff that he does when he catches the ball is really good and above the line. He catches the ball well, but that even when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, like, he's playing football and all those other plays too as well, whether the ball comes to him or not, or it's a run play, he's doing his job and doing it, with some effort, doing it with some consistency. And I just like his mindset. He's got a starving mindset to get better. Every day he's out there and he's working and he's consistent. And I think that part of it too, where, Tank mentioned Coach Maye, just a guy who's, got that type of mentality of, hey, we're going to go out here every day and it's about real precise work, and we have to get better. It's the urgency is there to get better every single day. And I think KJ brings that mindset, and those other guys lead. He leads the culture in that room. So been happy with him. I think Corey Ty has taken a step forward. That was something that, I think you need to evolve as a player here. I think he was, is playing his best football right now since I've been here, just watching him consistently catch the ball, watching him, get separation at the top of routes, being able to be hard to, be able to play body on body with. He's done a better job of that. I do think Deng Deng, like, this is, kind of when you look at a guy and how he needs to mature and get better, like, we felt like this was the year now where, it's time for him to kind of sit at the front of the table there and have an opportunity to be a guy who can be, really a valuable weapon, not just in the red zone and situationally, but, throughout our entire offense, whether that's first down or third down, open field or the red zone, that he's out there and that he's playing at a high level. And then I do think Christian Hoskins has improved a lot. I think he was the one guy, honestly, last year that, was doing things to be able to get his own yards and getting first downs out there when we called upon him to do it. I do think he has that in him. I think he's stronger. I think he's quicker. He's just in a better place right now than he was a year ago. And then we added Cam Weir too as well, who's, I think, really, really explosive and a guy who was a state champion in 100 meters in the state of Washington. And he's a football player. He's not just a track kid. Like, he catches it well. He's fluid out there. Like, he understands, what it's supposed to look like as far as, when I'm running double moves, or I'm running routes and making guys believe that I'm running something when I'm really going to run something else. I just think he has a really good sense of, making everything look the same, and that makes it really hard on defensive backs to be able to pick up keys and understand, what routes he's running. So all those guys, I think, and then a number of other guys too as well. But those are guys that have kind of, I think, improved here since last year, or new guys that have come in that have been able to, really assert themselves early on.
One more here before we go to the defensive side of the ball. And hey, for a defensive guy, you're handling these offensive questions pretty good, Schmitty. Yeah. It's a good balance there from the head coach. But Twitter world wants to know about quarterbacks. Obviously, Jerry was the go-to guy last year, but you got a lot of experience in that room right now. Where are we at in the quarterback situation?
Well, I think Jerry's the guy right now, just as far as talking about how much better I feel like just consistently we've been on offense here early on in spring ball, I think is a direct result of Jerry and just how much more confidence he has in the offense. I think just his leadership too as well. I think your culture is created by your leaders, and he's led, much better just from the front here. Since basically the season got over last year. I think he's motivated. He feels like this is his offense now, and he feels like the things he did last year were just kind of the tip of the iceberg, and feels like we can do things even better here in year two with him leading the offense. So I've been really, just simple things, Tank, as far as fundamentally sound, bent knee with a good base, driving balls when he needs to drive balls, throwing balls, that second level kind of pitch ball when he needs to do that, when he needs to put touch on it, getting the balls to the guys, at the right time so that they can make plays too as well. I just think, just the efficiency of the offense and the quarterback putting the ball where it needs to go and doing it with the right timing and the right placement is something that he's really improved. And then, we've really encouraged him, I think, at times last year. We ran him a ton and that kind of stuff, is being able to get north and south. You're a bigger guy and just stay out of the way of contact, but let's not be running, east and west and towards the sidelines all the time. Let's stretch some people and then puncture some people and get vertical and get the yards that we need to get, and then obviously stay out of harm's way. So I think he's definitely at a place right now that I feel really good about. I think the relationship, obviously, with Danny coming back was big for Jerry. I think Jerry felt really confident in Danny coming back here just because there was the relationship in recruiting, and was a big reason why Jerry initially came to UND was because of Coach Freund. And then obviously I think, he grew a ton under Isaac, and Isaac did a great job with him, watching him from year one to year two. And now I think, going from year two to year three can be the biggest jump for him. He's been out there. He's got, 700 reps underneath his belt. It's time for him now that there's nothing out there that we can do as a defense that he hasn't seen now, in his career. And I think he's evolved that way too as well in the classroom. He's taken a huge jump of understanding not just coverages, but fronts and how they tie together and where pressures are coming from based off of, not just where the DBs are, but also where the box is lined up and where the population is at, on those plays too as well. And then Javance is, took a little while for him to come back from his injury that he has, but I think he has something to prove too as well. I think he feels like, hey, I'm a way better player than what I put on tape last year. I think going out there and, just wasn't as confident as we would have liked. I definitely think that he's motivated to show. He's done it in the past, at San Diego State, like I said before, and in 2024, two of the better offensive games that the Aztecs had were the games that Javance started and played in, whether that was at Washington or versus Washington State or Cal. And we probably didn't see that as much last year, not consistently anyway, that way that we wanted to. I think he did some things with his feet, but he was not throwing the football with the type of accuracy and the type of fundamentals. It was basically him, just playing with not a good enough base, falling off throws, not driving throws, that kind of stuff that caused him to be not as accurate and not as productive as we wanted him to be. So, I think him coming back here now, he's close to 100% healthy enough that he can go out there and be effective and not lose any reps. But I definitely feel like he's motivated too as well. Like he's at that point in his career in college where now it's like, hey man, it's time to show what you can do. Either you can you can't, kind of in year 3 here going to year 4. So excited about his mindset and just his approach. And then Jack Sulik too as well. I think he's growing here. He has to have the mindset to not take a back seat to those other 2 guys and to push them and to show, that he can lead our offense if he gets the opportunity to do that. And a lot of times, he is getting those opportunities right now in spring, and he will get even more opportunities as we get into, the second half of spring ball, just so that we can evaluate and see where he's at and if he's capable of being able to move our offense. And then Brooks Hendrickson's here too as well. Obviously, early enrollee, ton of arm talent. Really like the way, just that he can throw the football both with power and with accuracy. He looks the part. He looks every bit as good as Jerry looks right now physically. So that part's been really impressive for him to be able to see. Now it's just, there's a lot of things that are on the quarterback's shoulders, and he's still, working through those things as far as being able to understand, what the concepts are, what his reads are. There's a lot on his plate, and he's just learning through those things. But skill development's an ugly process. It takes time, but to have him here, to have him doing what he's doing right now is going to be, a huge jump start for his development starting in the fall.
Yeah, switching sides of the ball here, defensive line edge, going into last season, admittedly, we did not know what to expect. We had no, Tank and I were kind of laughing. We're like, geez, I don't know. We didn't know who any of these guys were other than Rucker, a little bit. And it turned out they were probably the strength of the team. I mean, you were one of the better rushing defenses in the country, and the holes just weren't there. I mean, it was kind of a very fundamental unit up front. I mean, it wasn't being put on the secondary a whole lot in the run game. They were taking care of things, and it seems like you have a lot of pieces back. You added a couple in Pereira and Macklin. Give us an update on the D-line. Is this are you looking for them to be kind of the leaders of this defense and do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I think, just as far as architecturally how we're going to build this thing, it's going to be inside out. I think offensive line wise, like it was, really crucial for us to be able to keep the guys that we kept there. I think that's still where it's going to start and end for us as far as if we're going to be successful is going to be those guys up front. They understand that. Like we're going to hitch our wagon to those guys. And then defensively, I mean, it's the same exact thing. Like that was, a pleasant surprise a year ago. I think, a credit to Coach Maeva and Coach Anderson, just, putting your head down and going to work and betting on yourself as a coach that, hey, you can help these guys get to a place that maybe they hadn't been in the past. And I think, that showed not just, I think, Kelly in the run game, but also in being able to, in our system, putting pressure on the quarterback. I think we were, 40 some odd sacks last year, like getting teams behind the chains, getting off the field on third down, which was, something that we did better than anybody else in the country last year. Was third down defense was a big credit to, those guys up front. Now, you got to turn the page. There's definitely room for growth there. We can do a better job as far as, just playing with better pad level and fundamentals, and, just striking people overall on defense is something that we're really working on right now and want to get better at. We want to become a better hands team. We want to be able to win one-on-ones more consistently with our technique. And if we're going to be successful again here in the fall, it's going to be our offensive line. And then I think we can be much improved in our defensive line. I think obviously Rucker, is going to be a big piece of it for us. Caden Vig is a kid who's really improved here. I think he was, there's a little different skill set between our boundary guy, what Lance plays, and our field guy, what Caden plays. But Caden's growth and improvement, I mean, he's playing out there right now at about 270 pounds, 75 pounds, I should say. He was 280 over the training period, and now is cut down here a little bit, but just a really strong physical kid that, can do the things that we're going to ask him to do out there. Then I think, be more healthy now for the first time. Obviously had two really tough injuries here, his freshman year and his sophomore year, that especially his freshman year didn't allow him to be able to train, and just him being able to train, this past winter has made a huge difference, for him. He's just more confident. He feels like, he's moving better. He's stronger. He's put more armor on his body there. So that's been good. And then I think Brody Thornton's a kid who people are going to know about here in the not so, distant future. He's really he's really been good and was really good last year. We played him some last year too as well. I know it was, kind of in some mop-up things and stuff like that, but he's a guy that we feel really good about. And then Eric Pay's there's always those guys, I think, that, you're looking for them to take the next step. Like I talked about before with Javance, like I talked about before with, Deng Deng. Well, the guy on the edges is Eric Pay. Like, he's the guy that we're really spending a lot of time with. I feel like, hey, physically, genetically, he has the tools in order to be an elite player. Now he just, mentally, just getting him enough reps and enough confidence and belief in who he is, and, that he can do it, that he has to be, that he can be capable, I think is the next step in his development. So those guys right there, we feel good about. And then, like you said, our interior guys, Montre was really good a year ago. Adding some guys there. I think Logan Eckhart was a guy that, silently went about playing at a high level, played over 500 snaps last year, and really did, some really good things. Is he super dynamic? No, he's not, but still found a way to have, 3 sacks in there, I think, and, maybe 5 or 6 TFLs. And then just, adding in some guys there too as well, with, you said Kylan Macklin, Kifa Pereira, those 2 guys we feel like are proven guys at this level. Physically they look the way you're supposed to look. They move the way you're supposed to move around in there too as well. So, we have some position versatility too. We have some bigger edges that can move down there if we need to. And then, we'll bring in some guys here, obviously, in the fall too as well, in the summer, in the spring. And we feel like there's some guys in our recruiting class there that are physically ready to go to help us, in the middle too as well. So we could be, much deeper across the D line, which I think is really important. Like, if you can rotate through guys up front, and have 6 really good edges and 6 really good DTs in there, now you feel good about, just not only the quality, but the, the quantity of guys that you can roll in there and keep attacking offenses.
Moving to the secondary, adding depth is always key, especially if you're going to play a 4-2-5 defense. But it seemed like adding length came into play this year. I'm seeing, Kamara at 6'4", Dixon 6'2", Edmund 6'2", Theolgis, he's in that 6'1", 6'2" range. All those guys are going to be added to the mix there, to a successful unit last year, that lost a few pieces, but they had a very good year. Is it emphasis to add that length, or were you just looking for the best football players and, you just kind of worked out that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that we felt like, I think our wide receiver room, Kelly, and our DB room should look like a basketball roster. There should be centers in there. There should be longer guys, obviously not going to be, as tall as basketball teams are, but there should be centers, there should be forwards, and there should be guards, right? And all those guys have different skill sets that you can rely on for different, pieces, whether that's moving inside to guard a slot, and play nickel, or whether that's, hey, man, we got, somebody in the red zone like Deng, who's really big. Now we can go match up with him with some of our bigger, longer corners. And I just think not only the length, but the size out there too as well. I think, in this day and age of college football, if the difference makers, when you talk about stopping the run, is all 11 guys have got to be able to tackle and have that ability. And if you're 165 pounds out there and you're, trying to tackle a 200-pound back consistently because they're cracking safeties and making your corners tackle, one, it's going to be hard for those guys to be able to get those guys on the ground just, genetically, and 2, to keep those guys healthy. Weak things break. Let's call it what it is. And I think that's something that we've been able to, I think, not just with the frames and the length, but also putting on, the size there too as well. Guys like Evan Klutz, Ben Kamara, those guys are both playing corner right now. They're right at 6'3", so longer guys that can play physical. And then even some of the other guys too as well. I think Grant Nolan was obviously a huge surprise for us a year ago, but he's a guy now that can be the leader, of that group. Johnny Wiltshire and what he's been able to how he's been able to improve. And he's a stronger, tougher, kind of a junkyard dog type of guy, too, as well, as far as what his mindset and mentality is. So we feel good there. We have a lot of room to grow yet in the secondary. That's a big piece of big emphasis for us every single day. Just with the new pieces there, we've got to be able to continue to evolve. You mentioned a guy like Owen Thiel, just like, hey, can he be ready to go now his redshirt year? And can he, evolve to a guy that we can count on as, is he a starter? Is he a backup? Like, what is he? type of deal. Obviously bringing in Avery Dixon, bringing in Deuce Edmonds, like, hey, where do those guys stack up compared to Jet Sutton and, Tyler Erkman and Nate Frankfather and those guys. So there's a ton of competition. I mean, there's 5 guys back there and only one of them's back. Johnny's the only one that's back who was a starter. So we lost a ton of reps. And I know Grant Nolan started a lot of games. I know Clute has played back there. Ty Lukey has played some. Like, those guys, we know what we have, but we're not going to be able to just live, with having one guy at each spot. We got to develop some depth here. We got to develop some guys who can play consistently and be productive, and that's what we're working on here right now.
Obviously, you can't mention any names, but let's hit recruiting a little bit. We've seen some guys throw some offers up out there. Different vibe right now on the recruiting trail than a year ago after you got a year under your belt running the show. And then also, what can fans do to help in this process? I know you touched on it in your opening press conference as the head coach, but we can get involved on social media, correct?
Yeah, I've said that before. I think every successful program, every great program has a community. They have a following behind them. And I think kids want to be able to see that and feel that, in recruiting. It's something that we sell here. I mean, you look at a year ago, we were in the top 20 in the country in attendance. Our place is, last year was over 90% full. I think every single game we averaged somewhere in the mid 11s when it was all said and done, I believe is what the attendance numbers were. So I think just, when guys understand that, hey man, there's a fan base here that's gonna, care about you, that, when you're around town and things like that, like it's gonna be people who they want to help you. They want to get to know you. And that's what makes, Grand Forks a great college town. I think, one of the best college towns in the Midwest is it's the right size. It's the only, show in town. People really care, and it's a fabric of not just the city, but, obviously the Valley here, the Upper Red River Valley and the entire state. So fans play a huge piece of it. All the things that go about here with the media and the attention we get there, I think plays a big piece of it too as well. Guys just know there's a lot of eyeballs on them and that it's important and that it means something. And we're in a ton of, recruiting battles right now against the schools that you got to win, battles against in order to be successful. And even, a lot of places that against kids that are, being offered by, so-called, upper level teams too as well. And I think, this place is in my opinion is operated, the machinery we have here, the resources, the guts of our operation. It's as good as any FBS school in the area, as far as how we're developing guys. And I think the facts are the facts when you come here and you see that and all the things that we're able to sell. So excited about where we're at right now. Like I said, this is kind of it's getting to be that time right now where kids are making decisions. And, I think it's obviously all those things matter, Tank, that you're talking about, but ultimately it's going to be about relationships. They're going to go to the spots where they think, hey, if I lock arms with these coaches, like these are the guys who are going to get me to my goals. And that's what we've been trying to sell to these kids as far as, how our relationship, how that's going to work with them when they're on campus here, and how those relationships are not just going to be during their time here when they're a player, like we're going to develop them as football players, but we're going to develop them as human beings, too, as well. And then those relationships are going to last for the rest of their life too. It might not be daily like it is here when you're here, but it's for sure going to be, weekly, if not monthly. I mean, Kelly can tell you that those relationships that he had when he was a player here still show up in his life yet, throughout a month, throughout a week. So I think that's the thing that makes this place really, really special, is just the brotherhood that exists, not just with the current players, but with the former players too as well, and how much they want to impact current players because, they came through here and now they're really, really successful, and they credit their time while they were players here at North Dakota and in our football program to the reasons, why they're successful now later on in life.